Hello, good morning, everyone. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So, thank you each one of you for being here for the session today. It feels really a privilege to open a session amongst such brilliant and innovative minds. And today's session is Seed's fourth session. The topic is product development for college projects and startups. So before we start, just allow me to share my screen and I will take you through what it is that we do at Rein Labs here. Just a moment. Okay, so all of who have attended our sessions before know this. For people who have joined today, Rein Labs was set up with a view of making difference to the innovation ecosystem. Our mission is to partner organizations and individuals in their R&D projects, initiatives, incubations, and entrepreneurship efforts. So an all-round approach in the innovation ecosystem. So these are the states where we have actually received registrations from. For since we started the seed program, almost all states and union territories, we have had representations from all. About seed is a lectures and workshops series to complement higher education institutes in their efforts to create an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship within campus. Our main target audience for majority of the sessions are educational institutes, students, faculty, wannabe entrepreneurs, and startups. Innovation Hub is our platform. All of you must have registered on Innovation Hub and received your links for this session. It's a platform for all students in higher education institutes and the entire innovation ecosystem to come at one place and learn, collaborate, create, and showcase their research work as well as projects and get the necessary feedback and guidance wherever needed. So, this is a quick glance at our advisors, expert panel, and program advisors who are all industry veterans and academicians who have helped us conceive this entire program. All right. So again, coming to SEED, we had our inauguration session on the 24th of December, which was initially for educational institutes. Later, we opened up the entire SEED program for students, wannabe entrepreneurs, and startups as well. Over the last 3 programs that we have conducted, we have had a great response from over 600 plus colleges across 30 states and union territories in India joining us and sending their students for this program. If I talk about today's session, as you all know, the topic is product development for college projects and startup. This time we are bringing to you a session that is fully focused on end-to-end stages involved in product and prototype development. So right from significance of product development for college products or for your upcoming startup or venture, to project monitoring and testing, all of the entire stages will be discussed today. This session is very useful for faculty and students for their research and college projects and wannabe entrepreneurs for product development or getting ideas for the new ventures. Talking about today's speaker, our accomplished speaker for the session is Mr. Ashok Khopkar, sir. He's a veteran in this arena, having developed products for critical applications for end users like ISRO, Naval Dockyard for warships, and oil and gas corporations, etc. So, sir has over 50 years of experience in various fields. He's retired as General Manager, PAM Systems Limited, where he was responsible for product design and development, streamlining relevant manufacturing and quality assurance systems, technical documentation, training for end users, product standardization, etc. Currently, he is into the innovation and learning space. He is very enthusiastic about the new things that are happening around. He provides technical support to engineering companies, conducts training programs for fresh graduates to make them more employable. He also conducts training programs in basic engineering design and drawing practices for employees of MSMEs, along with knowledge booster programs. Today, he'll be sharing tricks of the trade with all of us. So I encourage you all to gain as much as you can from all of this rich experience that Sir has. The entire session will then be followed by a Q&A, which will be moderated by our next person that I'll be introducing, Mr. Saurabh Sinha. He's a serial social entrepreneur and the very own founder of Rein Labs. He's an entrepreneur and has raised multi-million dollar rounds with global VCs. He's an e-commerce thought leader, runs Contexio, one of the top 3 agencies of India, servicing global e-commerce retailers. Sir is a startup coach and seasoned mentor, having mentored 200 plus college projects and 100 plus startups. So before taking much of your time, we would move on to Sir's lecture. Just a few admin rules and regulations to be followed. So for ease of administration, we have limited access to chat. Sufficient time will be given post the entire session is done for Q&A, where you can ask your questions, doubts. For any queries, we'll be typing out an email ID or WhatsApp number in the next 5 minutes on the chat box. You can share if you have difficulty in joining or staying on the link. Any problem, share it there. We'll also be sharing our Instagram page, where you will get regular updates of what is happening, so you are up to date of what session is when, and you can attend and take reap the most benefits from it. The link for testing and certification will also be shared with you by Monday. I'll be updating you by the end of the session about the testing and certification link again. Okay, so over to you, Ashok sir.
Thank you, Purti. Thanks for my colorful introduction, and I'm glad that I am able to share my experience with a distinguished audience like this, and maybe indirectly trying to support the startups, which is a part of our national program now, Atmanirbhar. So I will not be able to do too much for this program, I mean the Atmanirbhar, but in a small way I wish to contribute something by sharing my experience. So let me hope that it will help the college students as well as those who are keen and serious about startups and progress in their life. So thank you once again. You must have attended the earlier programs wherein the most important parameters related to product development were discussed, and stalwarts like Mr. Prasad Menon, Manoj VC, and Saurabh sir himself, they explained so many things about finance, and then what product to develop, what should be the criteria for selecting a product for development and startup. And he gave 100 wonderful ideas which were suitable for, or rather can be considered for, selecting a product for startup. What is required in the market, what is the current scenario in technology, all those things were developed. So I presume that you all have attended that program, and you have made up your mind that you are going for startup, and this is going to be the product which you are going to develop. Once you have made up that mind and you are determined, that is the case for startups. For college students, now they can think of selecting a certain project for their curricular activities, and probably these 100 ideas which Saurabh sir has given from 20 different fields, what a variety, wonderful. So you will be able to pick up something which is maybe at the base or grassroots level, and which will be further developed as and when you grow up, maybe into your own startup. That is the tip for the college students. So with that, I think I will start sharing. Is it okay? I can share my screen now.
Yes,
Purti?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Give me a minute. Fine. So this is my topic on which I am going to talk something based on my experience, where I had a chance to work right from scratch to the final finished product being manufactured on large scale. That means hundreds of such products or the actual equipment is in use now in various industries and performing satisfactorily. Okay. Subsequent to that, there must have been so many technological changes. I am trying to keep myself up to date on those also by keeping in touch with the industry themselves, and of course trying to go along with the highly educated persons in the education industry, where they have more of theoretical background, where I have not understood many things, I have approached them. So this will be a discussion. So let me welcome to this discussion on prototype manufacturing and testing. We'll proceed one by one. The most important thing which I want to talk about prototype is a successfully operating prototype, functioning prototype is the proof of correct design and manufacturing processes. See, thinking of some concept and then trying to develop it is one thing. Then putting it in actual practice, that is the second stage. And then the whole concept and the product based on that functions properly, that is the third stage. So I presume that product selection is done, drawings and designs are ready, all the drawings are showing appropriate dimensions, tolerances, GD&T, surface finish, materials and everything. And now we are in a position to take up the actual physical model. That physical model is the prototype. You must have done same thing by a 3D model in your computer. There must have been simulation also done properly, and you are happy that the product is functioning satisfactorily. But remember that on computer, what you have is all ideal working conditions. So if the concept is correct, the product is going to function properly. When it comes to physical or working in the actual field, what we call field testing, for that field testing, you cannot send a computer and connect the computer to something and then start saying, yes, it is functioning properly. You have to have a physical model. And the first piece that is made based on that design is the prototype. If that functions successfully, means your design concept is correct, your production methods are correct, assembly, testing, everything is satisfactory. So what we are going to do is, what are the stages involved in product development? That is what we want to see. This is a very critical stage. Product development is very critical stage for the startup, and making a prototype is the first step toward the physical activities involved in that. So you know what are all the manufacturing difficulties that are going to come during the production. At this beginning only, you know that yes, I am imagining it to be done by a grinding process, but grinding process is not possible in this particular case for certain reason. So let us rule out that process and find out an option. Okay. Cost calculation. If you have to sell your product for certain price, you must know what is going to be the cost of that. So that cost, whatever you have theoretically calculated, I am sure there is a chapter for you or subject where machine time calculation and all those things are considered, or they have covered in the college. So putting it in actual application and calculating the cost is the next step. Whether this costing is correct or not, that itself comes out clearly with making a prototype. Vendor evaluation process. What is a vendor? Vendor is somebody who is willing to do the job which you are having. I presume that you don't have your own facilities for manufacturing anything. You have the concept, you have sufficient finance. Okay. You are a group who is willing to work enthusiastically on that product. But who will make the actual components? Who will assemble it? Who will supply the raw material? These people who are going to do this are called vendors. Okay, vendors. Or we call subcontractor in some cases, or contractor. Now,
Ashok sir, sorry, I'm
yes,
just interrupting the flow. Are you
yeah.
moving the slides? I think we still are on the first slide. Is there a...
I have moved it actually.
Okay, I think we probably stuck there.
Now,
no.
Which is the first slide? You are able to see this.
Are we still seeing the first slide? Yeah.
Yes,
Now,
sir. Yes,
second.
sir. We are still seeing the first slide.
No, we aren't seeing the second one.
Now, now I am putting the third one.
No, we're still stuck on the first one, I think. Maybe.
Do you want me to share?
No, there should be no problem. Let me stop sharing and try again.
Right.
Yeah, or else, sir, if it's not happening, even then I'll share from my end. You can tell me. I'll move the slides accordingly.
Right. So let me try again.
You
okay,
try.
good. You told me because I can see it here changing.
Okay.
Which slide you are seeing now?
We are still in the Explorer medium. You may want to go to slide number 2.
Okay.
You do not put up a slideshow. I think you just keep it on the non-slideshow. You go to slide 2.
1 minute.
Yeah, now we are seeing successfully functioning prototype. Slide 2 we are seeing. Can you move to the next one?
Okay.
Move to the next.
So it is stuck here also.
So I think what you may want to do is escape this, sir, and then just come to the mode where you are seeing the smaller slides on the left and the major slide in the center. And then let's just keep moving that through. Sometimes they just get stuck.
Now you see that slide.
Now we are seeing slide 1. Can you move to slide 2?
Now.
No, we are still on slide 1.
What I can do is I can share the slide and sir can guide me when you want to go to the next slide.
Okay, now see, you are seeing the second one.
Yes, we're seeing the second one.
Yes, now we can see.
Okay, now I'll put the slideshow. Now third one.
Now we are seeing the third one.
Yes,
third one.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm starting with this. Okay.
Okay. I think if you don't put up the slideshow, just leave it at this because the slideshow tends to freeze up the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can just continue like this. This should be good enough.
Fine. Okay. So I was on this slide. Why make a prototype?
Yeah, we were at the vendor. Yeah, at the vendor process. You were saying.
Yeah, we were at the vendor process. So vendors are the people who are going to do that work for you. So proper vendor selection, locating the vendor selection will be one of the topics that I will be covering. Okay. Then it can show whether ideated product can be manufactured on large scale. There are many products which I have seen that if you have to make 1 or 2, it is okay. You can make it easily. When you have to produce, say, in hundreds, then there are certain difficulties which come because of the design itself. Fine. So that will get cleared at this stage. Now we have to remember one thing, that product is not the prototype is not a sample, or it's not an end product. You come to a stage where it is functional, do the testing, and what is the advantage of making all this, that I'm going to show you in the next slide. This is one tip to reduce the cost of making a prototype. Think of miniaturization. Miniaturization means there are many concepts which create a product, and it's a product family. Imagine a simple hand pump which is required for, say, half liter per stroke displacement or discharge, and it is required for 10 liter per stroke also. So if at all you want to use that concept, and with some additional features like bellows which are supporting the suction process, and you want to try that concept, then you try with the smallest possible model in that. Let's say half liter per stroke. If the things work perfectly, that means you can go for the bigger one, like say 2 liter, 4 liter, or whatever capacity. That is called miniaturization. It may not be possible for all the products, but wherever it is possible, please try that. So it saves you money as well as the time, and lot of efforts are saved. What are the advantages of making a prototype? For startups, there is a thorough understanding of the manufacturing processes involved. Okay, I already discussed that if it has to go through various processes, whether they are possible or not, and what difficulties come, that will be clear at this stage only. Then checking all possible options for that. When you say that, okay, this process I may not be running properly, there will be difficulty, like turning on a lathe machine is not possible. Okay, so what can I do? Do I have anything which is where I can use a boring machine? Because when you go to the depth of the design, there may be parts which you cannot rotate putting on a lathe. I hope that you're all familiar with some of these machines. So rotation is not possible on lathe, but you have to do the boring. What you can do is you can use a boring machine. All these options come out at the prototype manufacturing stage. Then value analysis. Value analysis is the thing which points out to you that yes, certain thing you are overdoing and certain things are not required at all. When you make a design, you think of so many very good things, and then when you start using that, you find that okay, that feature is not being used at all. So such things will come out during the prototype manufacturing stage, and that is the advantage of that. For college students, what is the advantage? Again, thorough understanding of the manufacturing processes. That is very, very essential. And preparation of QAP. QAP means quality assurance plan or quality assurance program. If you want to assure the quality of the end product to your customer, then it has to go through certain inspection stages, right from raw material. So preparing a QAP will mean a thorough product knowledge and thorough process knowledge and inspection knowledge. These three things are very essential for successfully working in any company or having your own company, startup. These three things, when brought together, they make a person a perfect engineer. So these things take you closer to the industry. As and when you are going into the industry, these things are going to help you. So all these things come out while making the prototype. So overall, it's a learning process for all. Process making products, prototype making product at a glance. What is the process involved in making a prototype? First of all, you have to select the product. Okay. So assuming that you have selected the product, what are the criteria used for that? Or if you have not selected the product, how will you select the product? Saurabh sir has given so many good ideas on which you can work. And he has given the mantra of selecting the product, that is faster, cheaper, better. You can see it at the end of the slide. Faster, cheaper, better. Three simple words. But the product, if selected on these three bases, using these criteria, then is going to be a success. If you go into little detail, what do we mean by that? The product should be such that it has got increased efficiency for power saving. Power saving is the aim at every stage. Then more user friendliness. The user should be happy to use it. He should not find any difficulty in using, understanding the basic systems, controlling the systems. Okay. Lower life cycle cost. Life cycle cost means the cost of manufacturing and cost of operating. Operating costs include so many things: power required, then simple things like, say, lubricating oil. Machines need lubricating oil. So all those things, and an operator who is also getting his salary, that means it's a part of the operating cost. So if you make something which is easy for the operator to operate, then you need a less skilled operator for that. See, these are all the very fine points you will have to consider. It may not be possible right in the beginning, but as you progress in your career, I'm sure you will have to learn this, and you will automatically learn that based on your experience. Then added functionality, combining many functions in the same product. You can see the example of our mobile phone, mainly invented for communication, mobile communication. You can take it anywhere. And slowly now it has replaced, it has become your mini office in your pocket. You can do anything on that. So that's a multi-functional product. Environment friendly. I think I need not stress upon this. Then removing non-compliance with applicable laws. At this stage, you may not be able to understand it very clearly, but there are many products which are governed by certain rules. So if somebody is not following those rules and still making the product will functionally work all right. There will be no problem. But if somebody makes and follows those rules in toto, then he will get a better market. I have experienced this through certain products which are approved by Indian Standards Association or currently Bureau of Indian Standards, BSI. Okay, like you take the household taps, you get the taps without ISI marking and you get the taps with ISI marking. So in general, it is found that ISI marked taps are better in quality, so there is better market. So if there is a product which is like this, you can think of converting into what we call as coded product, following certain code. Okay. So this is the criteria. If you are selected the product based on this, then there are certain steps which you are going to take. Those steps are, first of all, prepare a design and manufacturing drawing. Then prepare a budget. What is a budget? I am going to explain it separately. Okay. Prepare a budget, then vendor development. I spoke to you about vendors also. Vendors are required for material and manufacturing activities. So you have to search a capable supplier. Okay. Then search for suitable, well-equipped production facility. Search for field testing facility. This we will discuss more in detail if time permits and at the end. Okay. Then production and testing, actual production. In actual production, what are the steps involved? You have to order raw material for all components, and there are something known as bought out or ready equipment. We'll discuss this, see the photos, everything is included in this presentation. So you can be more comfortable after seeing those things. Then manufacture the component. That is the actual manufacturing activity. Then you have to test it. So for testing, how you are going to test it, it may require some setup. we call it as testing facility or test rig or testing equipment. We have to design that and make it ready. It depends on what type of product you have. Some products need very detailed and elaborate testing facilities. Some products don't need anything. Okay. Then after all the components are ready, you have to assemble it and test it and field trial if possible. And one step after the prototype is ready is corrections in design if required. When you test the prototype, and that is one of the most important advantages of a prototype making, once you test the prototype, you come to know that yes, your design is okay, but there are certain practical losses which can be judged only after detailed testing. Like a pump you have designed, theoretically the capacity is 10 liter per minute, but as you know, there are internal losses, there is slippage. So instead of 10 liter, you get 9 liter per minute. That means you have to make some changes in your design. Those changes should be made at this stage after testing the prototype. After making the changes in design, you have to make one more prototype. So if first prototype is say 80% correct as per your requirement, second prototype will be almost 99% correct. Okay. So this is the entire prototype making process. We are now going to see what is budgeting. In simple words, budgeting is funds planning. We do it daily. How much money we need for certain occasion and from where I am going to bring that. Right from using your own pocket money in the college, you are doing the fund planning and budgeting. I want to give this gift to somebody, so I have to save some money this month. So next month on my friends, maybe girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, I have to give this gift. That is what I call as budgeting in very simple terms. So how much money is required on a certain day, we try to keep it ready. What are the steps involved in making a budget? First is you have to prepare a cost breakup covering cost of all raw materials, bought out items, testing setup if you have to make, because that is also going to cost you something. Then processing, that is machining. You have to pay something to the person who is going to do the machining for you. Assembly and testing and all other activities. You have to travel for this. It may be just maybe say 100 rupees at each visit, and there may be 50 visits involved totally during the project. So you will be spending so much money. All that should become a part of the cost. Okay, because you have to recover everything. Once the costing is done, you have to prepare a production plan on time scale. It can be daily, it can be weekly basis. What is the time scale and what is the production plan? You know that for manufacturing this particular product, I need to make these 20 components. Okay. For making the 20 components, I need to purchase say 20 different raw materials. When will I order the raw material? So first you are writing a activity chart. If you have any time worked on a software like MS Project, Primavera, all those things, you will know that they ask you to list down the activities, milestones, all those things. So once you do that, you are listing down everything that you are going to do, and then you put the date or target date for that. If I have to machine a component as a activity sequence, I can do that only after the material is available with me. That means first activity is I have to order the raw material. So that becomes your first activity. And then you say that, okay, if I order the material on day 1. I will be getting the material on day 3. Then from that onwards, I start machining the components. Components will be ready on day 7. On that day, I start assembling. Assembly will be ready on day 9. Testing will be completed on day 12. So my product will be ready on say 12th day or 13th day. This is what is we call as planning the activities on date scale. Now, if you are trying to complete the product in 7 days, let us say, then you will have to shorten all this time. So that becomes clear to you, and then this plan gets to you in a very useful manner for monitoring, which is the later stage of product development. Monitoring what is supposed to be ready on this date and what is the correct position of that. Okay, all this we are going to discuss separately. So when the activity chart is made, when the costing is done, you know when you need how much money. So you prepare a payment schedule. That in the first week I have to pay this much, second week I have to pay this much. This payment schedule can be a part of the software which you are using, or there can be separate software you can use for that, or using simple these are the steps in budgeting: prepare cost breakup, activity chart, time schedule, cash flow chart. Cash flow chart means how much money is going to be spent and from where that money it is coming and when it is coming. That combination will make you the budget. This is a small Excel spreadsheet made which shows cost calculation. Okay, as one part, yellow part, and white is the payment schedule. You have parts like say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so many other things. So you make a chart showing what is the raw material required, say stainless steel. What is the size of the raw material? So much dia, so much length. From that you calculate the weight of the material. I hope you all have studied this part in your syllabus. And then what is the price of stainless steel today? Let us say 350 rupees per kg. Based on that, this A material is going to cost you 300 rupees. Okay. B material is going to cost you 175 rupees. C is a rubber ring, 50 rupees. All this cost you make up, go right up to the bottom. You need one, say, electric motor, 0.2 HP, costing you 1500 rupees. Some bearings. Then after everything is come, you are going to assemble it. The assembly person is going to charge you 1000 rupees. Then testing expenses will be 1500 rupees, including making the test rig. So the total cost involved in this case will be 6500 and something. This you will know on the day 1, as soon as the design is ready, and as a first step you are going to do this. Okay, now you have made a time schedule. The time schedule says that in the first week I am going to get the raw material. So end of first week or during first week, I need whatever I am going to spend for purchasing the raw material. The raw material supplier will not give you material without making a payment. So if you are not in a position to pay him, you will not get the material and your project is now delayed by 1 week straightway. Okay. So you have purchased the raw material and now you are giving it for manufacturing. Okay. So manufacturing fellow is going to charge you something. When will that be required? That will be a part of your cost sheet and payment schedule. So in second week, what is all you are going to get? Rubber, electric motor. So second week payment schedule show that 800 rupees required. These figures are all imaginary, don't buy on it. But a small product can cost maybe 8 to 10,000 rupees. So don't be afraid of large figures if somebody gives you. It can be very minor and medium. Now, going like this, end of the activity, 4th week, is required so much amount. So all this is what I call as budget. It clearly gives you how much money you need on which particular day or which particular week. Okay. You can easily make it. It's a very simple logical step. Apply your little engineering knowledge, little general knowledge, and you will get it. This is a graphic view of what are the steps involved in manufacturing and testing. So the first step is naturally study the bill of material. That shows what raw materials are required, what ready equipment is required, and then you proceed further, locate raw material supplier, ready material supplier, component manufacturer, assembler and tester, and field testing. Okay. Locate suitable raw material supplier. Before that, you must remember that you will have to deal with many types of materials. Okay. What are the different types of materials? Metals. So many metals: steel, stainless steel, brass, copper, aluminium, titanium. I have not included many things. This is just a small list. Then non-metal parts, rubber parts, plastic, ceramic, oils, paints, so many things. Different shapes. What is the meaning of shape? I'm going to show you some photographs and I'm sure you will be able to understand that clearly. So, you have round bars, hexagon bars, square bars, flat, plates, pipes, tubes, different structural sections like angles, channels, T, I-beam. Then there is another class of raw material which is castings, forgings, molded parts. So you must know that yes, your part will be one of these things and you have to order these materials to the proper supplier. Every supplier does not supply all the material. Somebody who is supplying plate may not supply the pipes and tubes. Somebody who is supplying structural, he will not supply square bars and rods and other things. Okay. So for every material, you will have to look for a separate supplier. If somebody is supplying more than that, very good. Then you have to supply equipment suppliers like bolts, nuts, bearings, motors, gearboxes, hydraulic pneumatic items, variety of instrumentation, electrical items, drive items like pulleys, belts. This is again unlimited variety. Okay. So you must have at least some basic knowledge of these things so that you are able to order the material with confidence. Okay. Now, if you are clearly available, having clear understanding of these, your supplier will give you the right material because you have ordered it correctly. Like say, if you say channel, you want a 100 channel, but in 100 channels, there are 3 varieties: light, medium, heavy. Which one you want? So study the bill of material properly. If he has not mentioned, the designer has not mentioned that, you ask him. Otherwise, the supplier will give you anything which may be wrong and you will be wasting time on that. Okay. So you have to be properly acquainted with the material. That is one basic skill required for developing a prototype. These are all the things. I'll just try to see if I can start the slide show with this. Okay. Do you see that? These are the photographs. These are the First one is angle, second one is flat, third one is plate, then below that channel, I-beam, T. This is what I call as structural. These are all pipes of various shapes, tubes, round, square, flat. There are hexagon also. So these are all the things which you will be needing, and your supplier will have to supply that. This is again various sections. Okay, various tubes, pipes, flat, and everything. These are all castings and forgings. Okay, so this will be a separate class. Has it changed the slide, Saurabh sir? Has the slide changed?
Now it's on castings and forgings.
Okay, okay. So there is a problem. I am
now we are 19. Now it's changed.
So because yeah, you can see all colorful things because these are all the colors available in all these non-metals. Okay. So variety, bellows on the right side, so many connecting pipes, sealing rings and spacers, drives, so many things. So you will be dealing with all these materials. That is what I am trying to show you, and you must get acquainted. These are the ready-made equipment, electric motors, gearboxes, chain pulleys, sprockets, variable speed drives, pumps, pneumatic items. This is only one small representative item from that field. If you go to pneumatic, there are at least 1,000 products which you will be able to select and you need to use. So this is all about the materials. Then you must get acquainted sufficiently with the manufacturing processes involved. What are the processes that are going? First of all, it can be machining. Again, in machining, there can be turning, drilling, boring, you know all those things. Fabrication, welding, brazing, soldering. Fabrication means welding, joining two metal pieces. Okay, we called it material joining. First machining process is called material removal process. Okay, then comes casting, forging, forming, molding. They are actually some of the most common processes. I have not listed any uncommon process in that. Like in fabrication, welding, there can be friction welding, there can be forge welding. So all these things may not come at the stage of prototype making. That is why I have not included them. This is a graphic view showing the processes involved. Okay, so again the same thing. Now comes the most important question, how to locate suppliers and manufacturers. See, I presume that at the startup stage, you may not have much, what you can say, idea about the surrounding industrial conditions. What are all the industries around you and what are they doing? So where are you going to get the person who will do a certain milling job for you or planing job for you? Who will do that? You don't know. You have to supply that. Raw materials, who will supply the raw material to me? So all this now, how to locate, first of all, find out and then see what is the possible person who is going to give you. So what is the source of that industry association members directory? What is industry association? Every industrial town, or rather I will say almost every town now and cities, there are industrial areas. All the industry is developed in that area. So they have got an association. All companies come together, form an association. That association has a list of the people who are working in that area, operating in that area, the list of companies, and they publish a directory. So you can approach that association and request them to show the directory. Normally, they will do it free of cost, or they may say, okay, आपको ये purchase करना पड़ेगा, maybe 200 rupees. Okay. But that small book will give you who are all the people, what activities they are doing, and now you start looking for what you want. You want a heavy duty boring machine. Okay. So who is having heavy duty boring machine? You can search, because every company has given his list of activities and his capabilities, because they consider this directory as a publicity for their activities, publicity, advertisement. So they give full details how we are capable of doing this, who are our customers. So that is one way of getting the, so one source of getting the suppliers for material as well as for the machining activities. Now every product line will have an association. Product line means what? Let's say electric motor is a product line. There are hundreds of types of motors and thousands of manufacturers. So there is an electric motors manufacturers association which is on all India basis, and there are many small associations which are local, like Maharashtra, maybe Gujarat, everywhere, Punjab, everywhere there will be association. That association again gives a list of the people who are manufacturing electric motors, what is the type of electric motor they use, they manufacture, and what are the capacities or what is the product specification. You can refer those directories and find out what kind of electric motor you want. You want a servo motor. So who is manufacturing a servo motor? What is the capacity? What are the facilities available in that motor? Parameters. You will be able to get it from that book. Then there are periodicals. You must have seen Industrial Product Finder, very popularly known as IPF. Okay, it's existing for last 60, 70 years and improving day by day. Good information available there. So that gives the advertisements of companies who are manufacturing certain things. They are the subscribers or they are paid, what you can say, advertisers. Other periodicals like Industrial Product Source, Chemical Engineering World. This is also very one old magazine. Then comes our modern friend, internet websites. You must have definitely gone to India Mart, Trade India, Alibaba. Okay, you know that. Industry Cart, Industry Buying, SME Shops, Trade Key. It's like Amazon. On Amazon, you get all your personal requirements. Amazon sells some technical products also, you must have seen. Like I was looking for the shape memory alloy products, SMAs, and I found it on Amazon who can supply that and what are the prices and everything. So even there you can search, you may get. What are the other sources? Advertisements in newspaper. Yes, there are business pages in newspapers and local dealers, like say somebody who is in your area selling electric motors, gearboxes or steel sections. They will be dealing, sorry, are you able to see this?
Yes, sir. We are on source of information, part 2.
Part 2. Now I am on part 2.
Yeah,
Can
we
you
can
see
see.
part 2? Yeah.
Yes.
So these newspapers giving you local supplier, very, very useful source of information. Okay. Then relevant government department. If you are really stuck with something, you can approach them, meet the proper authority. And nowadays, or maybe last 15, 20 years, they are really very helpful because they want to see that the industry is growing. They will give you the correct information based on your requirement. Visits to industrial estates in nearby area. This is where you have to do a lot of leg work. If you have a two-wheeler, well and good. You just take a ride in the area where all these industries are situated. Go through all, क्या बोलते हैं, हर गली से गुजरो, हर गली से गुजरो. Keep your eyes open. What boards are fitted outside the company? Stand in front of the gate of every company. Read what they have mentioned, because this is like their advertisement. They write very clearly what do we make, what can we supply, what are our specialties, who are our customers. So if you feel this is going to be useful to me, you can note down that. And if you are gone ready, fully equipped with your drawing and everything, just enter. They are going to give you very good treatment because you are a customer for them. Okay. So customer is God. He gets respected everywhere. And on the spot, you will get some very good results. So take a ride in the industrial area. It's like surveying. Today you don't need somebody, but maybe tomorrow you will need. For your next product, you are going to require these suppliers and these what we call as vendors. Okay. So this is a very, very effective way of searching for a good vendor. It's time taking, no doubt, but a practical one. Then visits to industrial exhibitions. This is not a daily feature, it's a occasional event. Different industrial estate, different industrial exhibitions in your town. Find out that schedule. Normally they publicize in the newspapers, and then visit those things. This is one of the best learning experience because there are many equipment which are displayed there. They are in operating condition most of the time. The people there are willing to help you, tell you any basic thing also which probably you may not be knowing. I have learned so many things from the exhibition. Many times you know something but you have not seen it. So you get a chance to see that. And then comes one more very important resource, and that is the relatives, your friends, college authorities who are familiar with these things. So they will help you and give you the required information. So all these things you are basically collecting the information. Okay, this is just information gathering. Now, once the information is gathered, you are going to shortlist 2 or 3 and then finalize one of them. So what should be the criteria for finalizing that? Basically, he should be a reputed supplier in that field. If you are going to purchase some, say, servo motor, then is he reputed, is he a knowledge person? Well and good. You are assured of the quality. What are the other criteria? Charging reasonable amount. That means his price should be reasonable. It is very difficult to define the word reasonable. Anything can be reasonable, anything can be exorbitant. Very difficult to define. But it's your judgment ultimately and your general knowledge. When you go to purchase something, you normally already know that yes, this should cost me say 1500 rupees. So if somebody tells you the price is 1900 rupees, you immediately feel that he is charging more. Why? Then you may try to study what is the additional features and why he is charging more. Maybe it is right. You may accept it and purchase that item. Okay. So proper costing becomes a part of this. Early delivery. Early delivery. Somebody says, yes, I will do it at a reasonable cost, which is acceptable to you. But I will give the thing after say 3 weeks. So you have no time to wait till 3 weeks. He is not suitable for you. You have to find out somebody else. Okay. So when is the delivery being given, that you will have to worry. Then closely located as possible. Physically, the industrial area or that company should be close to you. I do not know much about the industrial estates and areas about other cities. But if I take the example of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, then somebody, suppose you are located in a place like Panvel, okay, then industrial area in Taloja will be very good. Any activity you have to go and do there, it's very close to you. But if you choose a supplier or vendor who is located in a place like Bhayandar, Borivali, Virar, then you know it's 3 hours traveling one way, 3 hours coming back, wastage of your time. So try to avoid such things unless it is a must. There is no other person nearby you. You have to go there, so you can't help it. But that should be the last resort. So this is one more important criteria for selection. Then payment terms. This is where the money comes in picture. So somebody says that you have to pay me before taking the material. So that's very reasonable, logical, because you are new to him. So, but if somebody is saying that, okay, you are a startup, I want to help a startup company as a part of my contribution. So you pay me after 15 days. Well, good. You should be happy. Take him. Provided his quality is good, delivery is good, everything should be good. Okay. After sales support. So this I will explain little later about this. All these criteria are conflicting. You try to meet one and the second thing is lost. So what should we do? So we have to have a proper balance among all the three. This is where your ingenuity, your logical thinking come in picture. एक चीज कोई 4 दिन के बाद दे रहा है तो हमको एक्सेप्टेबल है कि नहीं? Can I do with that? This you'll have to decide on case to case basis and then take a decision. So it's always difficult to find best combination. This is a graphic view of the same thing, a pyramid. So quality is at the top of the pyramid, then cost, delivery, then convenience, then payment terms, and at the end, last is after sales service. Now comes the personal skills. These personal skills include what we call as negotiation skill. You have to negotiate at every stage: purchase of raw material, charges for machining and assembly testing, payment terms. Somebody says, no, you should give me 50% advance. You negotiate. क्यों बाबा 50% क्यों? मैं कहाँ भागने वाला हूँ क्या? 25% ले लो. Do this negotiation. And if he accepts, well and good. You save your money for some time. And delivery time. Somebody says, I'll give you after 10 days. You try to convince him, Baba, itna time isko nahi lag raha hai. You can do it in 2 days. So please take it up. All these things come under the negotiation. So for this, negotiation skill will come if you have worked on your cost breakup properly, material prices, machining processes, time. If you know that certain machining process is going to take 6 hours, you can tell him you don't need 12 hours for this or 16 hours. जो आप assume कर रहे हो, estimate कर रहे हो, that is not the case. This can be done in 6 hours. If you want, I will show you. Give me your machine. इतना confidence अगर आपको है, तो आपको कोई भी फंसा नहीं सकता है. He will always give reasonable things to you. Okay. So I call all this as strength of knowledge. You have the strength coming out of your sufficient knowledge base. You try to use that and take the advantage of that. The importance of this is when you make the prototype, everything is complete, and now you are going to make a large scale production. That means you want to make, say, 100 pieces and sell it. Then these prices become the base price. That is why it is very important to negotiate at this state. Making क्या एक ही प्रोटोटाइप बनाना है, थोड़ा 200 रुपये ज्यादा खर्चा हुआ तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Don't have that view. Okay, then you will get quantity discount. When you make, instead of 1 piece, you are going to make, say, 10 pieces. So that time you will get some discount. All the charges will come down. So importance of negotiation. Now comes monitoring and progress, monitoring the progress and reporting. You have to regularly keep a follow-up on the progress. Otherwise, you will not be able to meet the target. And if there is any project without deciding the target, then it has no meaning. It's not going to work satisfactorily. Some planning software like MS Project or something can be used for all this monitoring. Must physically verify the actual status always. This is a very important thing. आप फोन पे बात करोगे कि भाई हाँ मेरा वो पार्ट रेडी हो गया क्या, तो वो उधर से बोलते हैं हाँ हो गया सब. Next day you go there to inspect, you find that the bar is still lying and machining is not done at all. So try to physically visit the place and keep a tab on the progress. This is very important. And you must report all the progresses to the group. Everybody in the group must know what is happening and what is the stage at which everything is there. Okay. You can take photographs, you can take videos and monitor the progress. Assembly and testing. This is very important. Testing is especially very important. What are all the things you have to do? Prepare a suitable QAP, quality assurance plan, and then divide all the responsibility. You should not depend on the vendor. You have to make sure that you physically visit the vendor and check the components that are made, whether they are proper or not. Then your testing setup is already ready. Do the testing yourself. You have to be present there for testing. Don't leave it to the operator of that company or somebody else कि हाँ test कर दिया, हाँ कर दिया. Okay, no, nothing like that. And take photographs and videos. All the testing procedures must be personally witnessed. This is a very important thing. Scope of testing I have already explained. Raw material testing, then performance testing, and ultimately preparing the report of all these things. Okay, what are the reports? What is performance testing? Performance testing is checking whether whatever product you have designed is meeting the requirement. जो आपने सोचा है वैसे वो काम कर रहा है कि नहीं. Okay, with this you come to know that whether your design is perfect. In fact, making the prototype is meant for this performance testing only ultimately. And you have to do the test repeatedly, not only once, but maybe 4 times, 10 times, 50 times, depending on the product's application. All the time, the results must be identical or within some tolerance limit. This is a small prototype. I have shown you the picture. This is not finished product. After the material, everything is done, it's being tested. Once the testing is over, it will be painted, and whatever finishing is required, that will be done after this. So prototype may look like this. You can show it even to the vendor. Okay. This is another finished product wherein, if you see, only this part is manufactured by the manufacturer. All these red and yellow and all these things, see, are all bought out items. This is another system. Let me see if I can show you on. Okay, quite a complex system. This is one where I was one of the main, you can say, design and development of the product was involved. Can you see the next slide now?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, this is warning for me to end. Okay, fine. What is the importance of inspection report? For startups, it is used for the future reference. When you make the next product, similar product, again, you must know what was the result I got last time, whether I am getting the same results now or not. Okay, then it can suggest suitable improvements, what can be done to improve the performance. And it's showing to the customer, potential customer. See, this is how we have tested it. This is the test report. And a customer always prefers a company who is systematically doing the testing and maintaining the record. Okay, so that's a plus point for that. For the college projects, I think you have to face the Viva. During that, this report will be useful. You can read it, study it again, so you know what has happened, how it was done. Then interview for job. That is the place where the industry knows that you have come close to the industry and work there physically. So if they ask you questions about that, you should be able to answer that. And thorough understanding of the inspection process. This process and manufacturing process are the two things which are very essential for the industry for offering a job for the person. What is the essential skill set? Clear understanding of the product, function, specification, and construction. You must know very thoroughly your own product. Drawing reading is one of the most important things. Drawing reading and interpretation. Clarity of relevant material manufacturing processes. Human relationship, negotiation, these are all very important. And persuasion. This is also very important. When you ask somebody to do something, for some reason he says, "Sab abhi na main baad mein karta hu." So बाद में तो नहीं चलने वाला है. You should be able to pursue him to do it immediately. These are all the personal skills which are required. Okay. So I think I am coming to an end. Did I miss out anything? I think there is one thing which I have missed out. Yes, and that is some personal tips. These are very clear. You can read them. Idea is, if you are working in a group, you should have a clear understanding of the responsibility. What is the responsibility of every individual member? We call it responsibility matrix. Prepare your own personal SWOT analysis. I hope you all know what is SWOT analysis. That brings out good capabilities of everybody and weakness of everybody. So divide the responsibility among yourself based on the SWOT analysis. then all should be equally loaded. ऐसा किसी को नहीं लगे कि मैं बहुत काम कर रहा हूं और ये दूसरा आदमी मजा कर रहा है, खाली मोटरसाइकिल लेके घूमते रहता है. So all should be equally loaded. Then all known weaknesses of the group should be covered by taking external support. This is one important thing which you may not understand at this stage. But let's say your machine needs a bearing and you do not know how to select a proper bearing. Quite possible this can happen. When I selected the bearing for the first time, I had a lot of confusion. 10 times I read the catalog given by the manufacturer. And then also I had to consult my senior. Then he explained so many terms. So you also don't feel shy. Meet a proper person, find out from industry somehow, meet him and tell him that, sir, I need your help in this. You are an expert, so please help me in this. I'm sure he will help you. So do that. If you make any mistake, any one of the group members, कुछ गलती हो जाती है मिस्टेक से या गलती से मिस्टेक हो जाती है, don't worry. कुछ भूल गए हो, you bring it to the notice of your group and try to see how the damage can be controlled. Okay, these are all the things which are very important in anything in your life. So be like that, and there must be 100% mutual trust between the group members. This is a very, very, very important thing. I need not stress the importance of that. So I think from my side, I have completed. If there are any questions, I think Saurabh sir will do the required thing. And I wish everybody best luck. Wish your career takes off like a rocket and reaches the destination as early as possible. So all the best, and thank you very much for listening carefully. Let me just hope that I have been able to explain the things in a very short time so that your understanding can take some shape. It may not be perfect, but it will take some shape and it will be forming the basis of your further activities. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Saurabh sir and Purti.
Yeah.
So take over, please.
Ashok sir, thank you so much. I think a few questions already coming up, and I'm just going to put them across to you. So, two questions which came up here are when we talked about coding of products, which is an ISI coding or an AgMark or something like that. Should we be aiming at a college project level or at a startup level to get these, or should this probably be tried a little later? What is your recommendation?
College level, of course, we need not worry about that. At startup level, that was one of the criteria for selecting a product. Like the product is existing, people are using, there is no problem as such, but there are certain rules which are not being followed. So there is a small element of unsafe practices. If some company tries to remove that, then they will get advantage of that. That is the point. But even for startup, it is not a must. But if there is a rule for that or some code which is compulsory to follow, then even the startups will have to follow that. They cannot neglect it. They cannot say, I will do it later on. No. Yes.
Another question was, sometimes if after having run our first prototype, we find that the intended results are not coming.
Yes.
We have to go for a redesign and recreation of the same. So in such a case, should we provision for the same budget as was there before that in round one that we spent, or are there any techniques of negotiating better with the vendor so that any kind of things like that can be done without spending too much money?
Yes, good question. In industry, we have a practice of providing, say, 15% as a contingency cost. That something is not going to work properly. Some components will have to be rejected and made new. So let us keep something, because in industry, every product, when you make for the first time, it's like a prototype. It may be capacity enhancement. I am making some evaporator which is, say, 500 kg per hour. Now I am making something for 1000 kg per hour. It may not give 1000 kg. So my costing should include at least, say, 15%. And at startup stage, it may be a little more only, because they are making the product. They have no experience of that product. It is based on a totally new concept. So I presume that even 30-40% should be the contingency allowance.
So is this something that we can build in when we are talking to the vendor who's going to supply us the product? We may make this much changes and therefore please quote accordingly.
He may not accept it. We can talk.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know whether you are going to go there second time or not.
Okay.
If your product works successfully, you are not going in again. So that is, he may not accept it, but it's a good idea. So you can tell him that if I come to you again, what he will do, like, come next time, then I'll give you 10% discount. But this time you have to pay full.
Yeah. I think one question was around any good sources to acquire products in India, B2B products. So folks, one thing, there's a website called Moglix, Moglix. This is a new one in India. They have been working for the last 4 years in the B2B industrial parts space. So you can definitely go to that site and you can find out many machine parts that you might require. It's completely India based, so I think they'll be able to give you good. I think sir has already given you a few names, so you can go and acquire that. Another question was, what is the typical budget we should keep in mind when we are doing any college level projects from a prototype point of view, and what is the budget we should keep in mind for a startup? So sir, I'll just take up this question. Folks, when it comes to the college project, I think anything in the range of about 10,000 to 20,000 is what max is what you should probably keep in mind. Please understand, when you are going ahead and trying to create a prototype for a college level, people are more interested in knowing whether you could apply your basics and you could get something functional or no. Nobody is expecting a perfect product. Nobody is expecting you to go ahead and have a system which runs as per the exact specifications that are expected. Now, there are 3 types of projects that you will come across. One is where there's a research project where you should look at a machine, try and understand its design, and find out what is the part of the design which is bottlenecking. So that is one type of project. So which is research the design of a product, maybe open it up, check it out, or check their manuals and find what is the bottleneck in the overall mechanism from whatever industrial know-how you get or surveys you get, and then try to recommend a change in the design. So this is the research type of work. The second one, and this is all on software, this is nothing to do with reality. Second one, as sir said, what happens in the software world may not actually happen in reality. That is where you are building the prototype. Again, in the prototype, there are enough of contingencies. So you can take 15%, 20% contingencies, and you can say, I have made a 15% up and down specification prototype, and I can finally go ahead and make this into a much better one. But do keep in mind the point that sir said, that everything that looks okay at the prototype stage might actually not be exactly functional, because you may have just designed it for prototyping. You may have not designed it for mass manufacturing. So those are things that you need to keep in mind. Sir, another question was, you mentioned about going and doing industrial visits to become familiar with parts. So you showed some very interesting photographs of all these small parts and all. Now, enthusiastic children do understand all these parts. What is a good way that teachers can encourage students to get more familiar with these parts? What would you recommend, having seen, academicians as also industry? How do they come across bearings? How do you make them get a feel for all these kind of parts? What would you recommend for teachers?
Again, I will say, physically getting acquainted with something means you should have that in front of you. Now, nobody is going to come and show the things at your place. So, like I suggested for students, everybody will have to make visits to industrial areas. Like, suppose there is a bearing supplier. Every city, there will be trading areas. Like in Mumbai, we have those things like Chor Bazaar. That is the famous name and place. If you go in that area, almost everything is available. So, I mean, something you will have to find out. Maybe you can straightway say that, yes, we are coming from such and such institution. We want to get ourselves acquainted. So can you please help us? He will show you certain things. It may be an hour's visit, but all this trouble will have to be taken. Same thing can be done for the gearbox dealer. If we are able to visit the factory, what will happen is we will be able to see all the processes involved in making that. But end products can be seen at the dealer's place. So we have to find out such locations.
I'll share one interesting story. When I was in engineering, so I had this friend of mine. He had this knack of connecting with a lot of suppliers, and actually he would not do the suppliers, but he used to go and make friends with all these dealers and distributors, working personnel. Now, sometimes you will see in these machine repair part organizations, there is one or two very smart guys. They are not very qualified. They are not people who, have the biggest degree. They are not great at communication, but they are people who are enthusiasts. But they know the machines and the parts like nobody else. I mean, they are in themselves a whole directory of information. And he had this knack of going to companies and, making friends with people like that. So you always should try and have this thing that when you meet or you go into an industry, go and make friends with the people on the floor. Go and make friends with people on the, in the repairing shops. These people know a lot about things and they'll give you a lot of practical design, including the electrician who comes to your house, the plumber who comes to your house. Anybody who comes for any repair work in your house, you must make friends with them because they know a lot about parts. They know a lot about all these small things, and they can actually be very, very helpful to you in such situations. Another question, sir, was I am trying to build a product which involves a printed circuit board. So should I try to look at PCBs which are off the shelf available, or should we try to design our own PCB? It looks like a college project, I think.
Yeah, basically, if something is ready, one should always try to pick up readily available things. If it is not available, then naturally, if you are not able to adapt to that available thing, you will have to make your own PCB or whatever is the product, that component. In simple terms, we normally what we do in design is first see what is available and try to select that and make the other design accordingly. If that is not possible at all, then of course I have to make my own component. That's all.
Any tips that you can give around documentation of the research work, or when we are making a prototype or making a product? At that time there is a lot of documentation that is possible. Which you might actually fail at the end of it, but that data can be very useful for future. What would you recommend? I mean, how should we approach it, and what's the value of the same?
It's like we start with the brainstorming session. So whenever we know that we have to do something, achieve some function, then everybody, suppose it's a group, then everybody will put in his idea. They may be very silly ideas in some cases. So all that should form a part of the record. And then, of course, you have to go on eliminating. This cannot be used because of this, that cannot be used. That is the way a research project progresses, correct? So documentation must start at that point. And then whatever is rejected, why it is rejected, if you are able to note down that, later on we don't repent, "Arey, waisa kyun nahi kiya humne?" So all that should be a part of the documentation. And then next, of course, whatever decisions you are taking, they come for implementation. It gets recorded automatically.
Folks, an interesting anecdote. If you look at this movie Iron Man, and we keep giving this example again and again, this person who is designing the Iron Man suit, he talks to his software called Jarvis. And there are multiple such kind of designs which have been eliminated and so on, which are actually recorded in that system as you see it in the movie. When we take interviews for folks or students who are joining, one critical question for their college project is, what did you reject as a design? What were the options you rejected? Why did you reject it? What were the things that you have not gone ahead with approaches? So even if you have created a failed project, the important piece is what is the process with which you went and the ideas you eliminated and the reasons behind this. Because documentation is a very essential skill in industry. Being able to keep these documents and being able to re-reference them later on for everyone's good becomes very critical. So please make sure that whether you have got a project which works or it doesn't work, you have a prototype or a product which does or no. Teachers, especially, if you can focus on trying to make sure that the documentation of rejection cases and reasons for rejection are done systematically, it goes to show that the student has understood this skill. He has exposure to this skill, and that's very valuable for an interviewer.
Can I just
sure, please, sir. Please.
Yeah, in fact, this is the idea we use in industry also. In fact, recently one industry has came to me. They have certain problem with certain heat exchangers which they are making. So I suggested about 4 solutions, that this is what can be done. He said, okay, which is the best? I said, no question of best or bad. Good. Tell me first, have you tried any one of these earlier and failed to achieve the result? Then naturally, that is not best. I may think it is best. Then he said, yes, we have tried this, but this is how we tried it. I said, no, that was again wrong. You have tried a different concept, though you are looking like this. So luckily, he had all the reports of that time when he used that concept and tried to solve the problem. Then we found that it was a different idea at all. So this is what the record is going to help at every stage. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I think, guys and folks, thank you for attending. I think we had a few questions. Like we mentioned, you can keep continuing to send your questions. I think I'd like to start off with sort of a word of thanks. Ashok sir, first of all, thank you so much. He's been like a father figure to me. I mean, his son and me, we've been very close associates, and at his age, the enthusiasm, and I think Purti will swear by it, the enthusiasm that he brings to the subject of teaching, is very inspiring. I wish we all can end our careers with that enthusiasm. So, sir, thank you very much for inspiring us and putting up things and trying to connect with this age group of students. These are videos which will help a lot of people going forward. It's not an asset created for today; it's an asset created forever. And I think that's exactly what Rein Labs is trying to do through Innovation Hub. So we'll continue our journey. I think Purti might have a few points to make to you guys as we end the session. But we call it a day today. The only point for all of you is that if we are looking for a much more longer, detailed in-person product development workshop, this was a precursor. You can always reach out to us, and we have a whole structured 3-week program for doing product development and helping you guys create the same. So we can reach out to campus, can reach out to us, and we can help you do the same. It is an omni-channel program. It could be online, it could be in person. And we'll be open to helping out student teams and colleges in case you are intending to do the same. Purti, over to you.
Yeah. So like sir mentioned, for a one-to-one session for your college, anywhere that you are based out of, just let us know. I am putting my mail ID and my number in the chat box. You can directly get in touch with me and we can take it ahead. We can design a program. We have already designed programs, but we can customize a few programs and according to your college and check whether we can work out for the same. Along with that, we'll keep having sessions every alternate week or so for the seed program, which will be open to all. About testing and certification, the testing and certification links will be up on the Innovation Hub portal by tomorrow. We'll be following up with emails as well on Monday. But if you visit the portal tomorrow by evening or so, you should have the link ready so you can immediately start for the certification. Just give me a moment and I'll put down my email ID and phone number. You can note it down. Our next session will probably be in the last week of April, around 23rd or so. We'll confirm it once. And once it's confirmed, we'll start sharing you. So please stay tuned on our Instagram page for more updates. I have mentioned the link in the chat box and also your mail IDs. If you want us to connect to more people associated with you, you can share their mail IDs to us as well on the same mail. Just a moment. So yeah, you can copy paste the number and email ID. Thank you all for joining the session, and we'll be in touch with you throughout.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Purti. Thank you, Ashok sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashok
Thank you,
sir.
everybody.
Hope to
Thank you
have a
very
session
much.
with you soon.
Sure. Thank you very much.